In verse 13 it says, that you will spare the lives of my mother and father, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, that you will save us from death. And they said to her, our lives for your lives. The men assured her, if you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived in was a part of the city wall. Stop for a moment. Where was her house located? City wall. Now, some of you, if you're ever raised in church, you ever had a Sunday school lesson? We all sing that song. God tumbled down the walls of Jericho. You know, the Jericho walls fell down, right? Where was her house? Do you know she lived in the most dangerous place on the face of the planet? Her city was destined for annihilation. It was like living in Nagasaki or Hiroshima. It was designated for destruction, and worse than that, she lived on the city wall. Why? Because she was wealthy. She did well at her trade. Jewish history books tell us she was one of the most beautiful women that ever lived. And so therefore, she had great influence. That's how the king knew her. Jewish tradition says she slept with some of the most influential men on the planet. She was wealthy. She could afford. Her house was palatial. It's kind of like in our times. Where's the most expensive property to live in? It's beachside property, right? You got a house in Malibu. You got a house in Miami Beach. You don't pay out the nose for it, right? You probably pay 10 times more than something inland, correct? She was right on the wall. That wall was a symbol of strength. The walls of Jericho to her community were impenetrable. They were something that stood as the pride of the city, that somehow, some way, we were safe inside of these walls. She had no idea that she lived in the most dangerous place on the planet. In fact, when those spies gave her the promise of her safety, they didn't know the plan that God was going to turn the city over to them. In fact, it wasn't until they came back that God told Joshua how he was going to bring down the city of Jericho and give that unto him. Joshua, in fact, what's amazing to me is this. The two of the greatest miracles in the Bible occurred relevant to this story. Listen. First one, when God told Joshua that he was to take the people. Here are the instructions for the destruction of Jericho. Gather all of the people of Israel and march around the city every day for 6 days. And don't say a word. Are you kidding me? I think that's one of the most passed over miracles in the Bible. That you can keep the people of God quiet for a whole day. Are you kidding me? And for 6 days straight, and then the seventh day, march around it 7 times, and then shout. Yeah, they had something to say by then. And shout. And what would happen? The wall. He never told the people how the city was going to come down. They were just to follow his instructions. She lived in the city, and this is amazing. What? God, although he pushed all those walls fell, except the house of Rahab.